Albert Einstein, intellectual ambassador, cultural icon, and advocate for peace, 1922 to 1932. Between 1922 and 1932, Albert Einstein not only revolutionized the world of theoretical physics, but also emerged as a prominent global figure in politics, intellectual cooperation, and public life. As a member of the League of Nations International Committee on Intellectual Cooperation, Einstein worked to foster collaboration among scientists, scholars, and artists across national boundaries. Simultaneously, his growing fame led him to travel across continents, including South America and the United States, where he engaged with diverse audiences, from academic institutions to public admirers. These years highlight Einstein's multifaceted role as a scientific genius, an advocate for peace, and a cultural ambassador. This narrative explores the pivotal events that shaped his intellectual, political, and cultural impacts during this transformative decade. Einstein's role in the League of Nations, intellectual cooperation and political intrigue, 1922 to 1932. In the wake of World War I, the League of Nations sought to prevent future conflicts not only through diplomacy, but by fostering intellectual cooperation across borders. In this spirit, the International Committee on Intellectual Cooperation was established in 1922, aiming to bring together the world's foremost thinkers, scientists, scholars, artists, and educators to collaborate and share ideas that would transcend national rivalries. Among these towering figures stood Albert Einstein, who, for the next decade, would take part in this bold experiment in international intellectual diplomacy. Einstein's role on the committee was not just symbolic. His participation reflected a deep conviction that science and intellectual work could serve as a powerful force for peace. Alongside luminaries such as the Dutch physicist Hendrik Lorentz and the Polish chemist Marie Curie, Einstein worked on promoting dialogue among the world's greatest minds. However, the story of how Einstein came to serve on the committee has its share of political intrigue. Despite having made Switzerland his home for many years, Einstein was appointed as a German delegate. This twist was the result of behind-the-scenes machinations involving Oskar Halecki, a Polish Catholic historian, and Giuseppe Marta, a Swiss Catholic politician. These two men, both ardent promoters of Catholic values, wanted to ensure that Einstein, a non-practicing Jew and outspoken critic of nationalism, did not represent Switzerland. By influencing the League's Secretary-General Erich Drummond, they blocked Einstein's candidacy as the Swiss representative and instead opened the door for Gonzague de Reynaud, a traditionalist who used his position to promote Catholic teachings. It was a political maneuver that underscored the tension between progressive and conservative ideologies, even within the intellectual circles of the League. Despite these challenges, Einstein remained a committed advocate for intellectual cooperation, though his time on the committee was not without friction. His bold ideas and pacifist stance often put him at odds with more conservative members, but his reputation as one of the world's greatest scientists ensured that his voice could not be easily ignored. Einstein's journey to South America, Science Meets Culture, 1925. In 1925, Einstein embarked on a journey to South America, a continent far removed from the intellectual circles of Europe and North America. Accompanied by his wife Elsa, the tour took them through Brazil, Uruguay, and Argentina, countries eager to host the legendary physicist. While Einstein's groundbreaking theories of relativity had reached the scientific elite worldwide, this tour offered the broader public of South America a rare opportunity to see the man behind the equations. The tour, which spanned 2 months, was initiated by Jorge Duclaut, an Argentine intellectual and scientist, and Mauricio Nahrenstein, a Jewish leader and cultural advocate. With support from prominent Argentine scholars like mathematician Giulio Ray Pastor and physicist Jacob Laub, the latter a former student and collaborator of Einstein. The visit was financed primarily by the University of Buenos Aires and the Argentine Hebraic Association, which saw Einstein as not only a scientific genius, but a symbol of Jewish intellectual achievement. A smaller contribution came from the Argentine German Cultural Institution, representing the significant German-speaking population in the country. During his time in South America, Einstein delivered numerous lectures, which were received with great enthusiasm by audiences that included scientists, students, and members of the Jewish community. His talks often revolved around the theory of relativity, a concept that, while difficult for many to fully grasp, had captured the imagination of the world. Beyond the lecture halls, Einstein was a guest of honor at various cultural and political events, allowing him to engage with the social and intellectual life of South America in a way that few European figures of his stature had done. Einstein's time in South America was not just an intellectual journey, but a cultural exchange. He was fascinated by the countries he visited, and they, in turn, were captivated by his humble yet profound presence. In Argentina, in particular, Einstein's visit sparked a surge of interest in physics and higher education, with his lectures often regarded as a turning point for the country's scientific community. Einstein's return to the US, a sojourn of celebrity and science, 1930 to 1931. In December 1930, Einstein made another significant trip to the United States, a country that had already embraced him as a symbol of genius when he first visited in 1921. This time, however, his journey was not just one of intellectual pursuit, but also one of managing the complex nature of fame in the age of mass media. Einstein had been invited by the California Institute of Technology, Caltech, for a 2-month research fellowship. While Caltech hoped to keep Einstein's visit focused on academic work, his celebrity status made it difficult for him to avoid the public eye. Unlike his first visit, Einstein took measures to avoid the overwhelming attention from the press, turning down invitations to receive awards or make public speeches. Yet, despite his efforts, Einstein's admirers found ways to celebrate him. After arriving in New York City, Einstein was whisked from one notable event to the next. He dined with the editors of the New York Times, visited Chinatown, and attended a performance of Carmen at the Metropolitan Opera, where he was cheered by an audience that recognized him upon his arrival. New York's mayor, Jimmy Walker, presented him with the keys to the city, a symbol of the city's affection for this unassuming intellectual giant. During his stay, Einstein also met with Nicholas Murray Butler, president of Columbia University, who described him as the ruling monarch of the mind. At Riverside Church, the prominent pastor Harry Emerson Fosdick gave Einstein a personal tour and showed him a full-sized statue of himself, an indication of the mythic status Einstein had attained in American culture. Einstein's journey westward to California was equally eventful. At Caltech, he was welcomed by Robert A. Millikan, the institution's president and a fellow Nobel laureate. Their relationship, however, was somewhat strained. While Millikan was a proponent of patriotic militarism, Einstein remained a committed pacifist. This ideological divide created an awkward tension between the two men, though they maintained a professional respect for one another. In California, Einstein also formed bonds with other notable figures of the time. He struck up a friendship with Upton Sinclair, the socialist author of The Jungle, and Charlie Chaplin, the silent film star whose satire of authority and deep-rooted pacifism resonated with Einstein. Carl Lammel, the head of Universal Studios, took Einstein on a tour of his studio and introduced him to Chaplin. The two icons, one of science and one of cinema, hit it off instantly, with Chaplin inviting Einstein and Elsa to his home for dinner. Chaplin, reflecting on their first meeting, noted the calm and gentle persona Einstein projected, but also observed a highly emotional temperament beneath the surface. It was this inner fire, Chaplin believed, that fueled Einstein's extraordinary intellectual energy. Einstein's relationship with Chaplin culminated in one of the most memorable moments of his visit, the Hollywood premiere of Chaplin's classic film City Lights in January 1931. Einstein and Elsa were Chaplin's special guests, and as the two men arrived at the premiere, the crowd erupted in applause. It was a powerful image, the world's greatest scientist and its most beloved entertainer standing side by side, both symbols of a new era of celebrity, where intellect and artistry was celebrated on a global stage. The friendship between Einstein and Chaplin continued beyond this Hollywood moment. Chaplin would later visit Einstein at his modest home in Berlin, where he noted the physicist's simple lifestyle and the piano that stood in his living room, a piano that Chaplin wryly speculated might have been used as kindling wood by the Nazis after Einstein fled Germany in 1933. This period in Einstein's life, his involvement with the League of Nations, his travels to South America, and his celebrity-filled visits to the US paint a picture of a man who, while deeply committed to science, found himself navigating the complexities of fame, politics, and cultural exchange. Einstein's intellect may have made him a global icon, but it was his humanity and his willingness to engage with the world beyond the laboratory that truly set him apart.